Hey everyone, and welcome to Boston Autoblog. In 2021, we have checked out a lot of cool vehicles on the channel, whether it's a 2000 Pontiac Trans Am WS6 or the Aston Martin DB11. But more importantly, the variety has been off the charts. We've checked out everything from EVs to hybrids and even pickup trucks. But today, we're checking out an all-new vehicle for an all-new segment here in the US. And that is the all-new 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz. That is right, not the Santa Fe, the Santa Cruz. Two completely different cities in the US and two completely different vehicles in the Hyundai lineup. Now you're probably saying to yourself, hold on a minute. The front end looks like a Tucson. And you're right. The Tucson and the Santa Cruz sit on the same platform and they share a lot of similar components. But then when you make your way around to the back, that's where you see the bed of the pickup truck and it becomes more of a rugged vehicle. And that's why I'm really excited to take a look at the new Santa Cruz, because this could very well be the beginning of a whole new generation and era in the automotive world here in the US. So in this video, we're going to take a good long look at the Hyundai Santa Cruz, see how it compares to other rugged vehicles in this price range, but also see if this really is a pickup truck or a ute, and if you are in the market at around $30,000 to $40,000 and you're looking for a vehicle that gives you great interior comfort, crossover-like driving dynamics, but off-road capability and some utility, then maybe going with the Hyundai Santa Cruz might be a great decision. Now before I get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to McGovern Hyundai in Brocton, Massachusetts for allowing me to do this review. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Hyundai inventory. Also, before we get started, make sure to click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you're notified every single time a new video goes live on the channel. And so, without wasting any further time, let's get right in this review. Old trends and fads always seem to make their way back to relevancy in one way or another. And in 2021, small pickups or rugged off-roaders are all the rage, as brands attempt to meet the demands of consumers. We've seen manufacturers who've predominantly sold crossovers and sedans contemplate on the idea of adding a pickup, like Mercedes-Benz did a few years ago in markets outside the US. Hyundai, who's been on a roll as of late, decided to break the ice in the compact pickup market by producing the Santa Cruz, which in regions such as Australia would commonly be known as a ute. With the Ford Maverick's arrival just beyond the horizon, we're going to see if there's legitimacy to this emerging segment, and if Hyundai is capable of taking on an established brand in a market they know best. Starting off with pricing, our model is an SEL, coming in at $28,690 if you opt for the optional all-wheel drive system, which is going to be a few grand more compared to a similarly spec'd Ford Maverick. But considering the cost for new vehicles today, anything below $30,000 will certainly be appealing for buyers on a budget. Hardcore pickup enthusiasts have a difficult time accepting unibody chassis, as there will be a lack of ruggedness, and overall capability is limited. However, consumers looking for utility without sacrificing ride comfort are going to find themselves right at home inside the Santa Cruz. But the crossover-like driving dynamics doesn't diminish the off-road capability, as you have 8.6 inches of ground clearance to tackle unplowed roads during the winter. But if you're cross-shopping the Santa Cruz and Maverick, there's no difference in terms of ride height. Getting into the road presence, many will point out the similarities to the Tucson, as most of the front fascia is identical. However, Hyundai did make some slight tweaks to give the Santa Cruz its own unique personality, such as the brushed aluminum accents and subtle redesign for the grille. But also, the LED DRLs are fully transparent with no side reflectors like we saw on the Tucson earlier this year. The bumper has been facelifted to provide sharper body lines, and of course, plastic cladding will be present with the Santa Cruz being considered a sports adventure vehicle by Hyundai. More importantly is the cool factor, and where this compact pickup could win over the hearts of new buyers is its unique style blended in with rugged aesthetics that should fare well with avid adventurers who are constantly on the go. Moving over to the side profile, the SEL trim will be equipped with 18-inch wheels, likely playing a role in the ride comfort for this compact pickup, as cruising around town was quite pleasant. If you offer the Limited, you'll have the upgraded 20-inch wheels for a more rugged appearance. You'll have body color folding side mirrors with turn signal indicators to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. Now coming around to the back, this is really where the Santa Cruz becomes a pickup truck, as you have a bed to work with where you can load up your tools or whatever you might be carrying with you, whether you're going to work or you're going on an adventure. But also it's back here where this vehicle looks a lot more rugged than up front, which looks like a Hyundai Tucson. But there's some cool features that I think you guys are really going to enjoy, especially at this price range. So starting off, you will receive a power tailgate. How awesome is that on a vehicle at around $30,000? Now we are starting to see that in the pickup truck markets, but at this price range, that's almost unheard of. Now you will have about a 4-foot long bed to work with, so that's not going to be as long as say a Ford Ranger or Chevrolet Colorado, but that's not what this vehicle is designed for. This is a whole new market, a whole new era, and it's really meant for consumers who are on a budget at around $30,000 to $40,000 that are looking for a vehicle that will give them the comfort of a crossover and also the practicality, but also a vehicle that's rugged enough where they can go off-road and have some fun. One of the cool things about the bed of this pickup truck is that you will have a compartment that you can hide some of your more valuable items, but also more importantly, there is a drain plug here. So if you want to tailgate at a football game, you can just throw some ice in here, put some drinks, and you can have an absolute blast on your Sunday afternoon. So this is really cool to see. Now, you can get a cover for this bed, so if you have tools or other type of equipment that you're afraid are going to get stolen, you can use that and people won't be able to peek in and steal what you have. A minor cosmetic feature that is going to get overlooked, but one thing that I really like to see, especially with Hyundai designing their first ever pickup or ute, is the fact that you have footholds in the bumper. So now you can easily access the bed of this truck, you can tie things down, and now you're ready to go on an adventure. So this is just really great to see, and it really adds the excitement factor and the cool factor for this vehicle, because this is all new. This is a whole new segment that we've never really seen before and seen brands experiment with in the automotive world, at least in the modern age. And this is a great start, and I'm really looking forward to seeing other vehicles like the Santa Cruz. Under the hood, our Santa Cruz in this video is powered by a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine that puts out 191 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. We do recommend paying extra for the SEL Premium or Limited to receive a turbo, giving you 281 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque, and more importantly, an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. While the base engine is sufficient enough for city driving, having more power is never a bad thing, especially if you plan on towing, as the Santa Cruz with a turbo can tow up to 5,000 pounds. For the drivetrain, front-wheel drive will come standard, but most likely you'll pay the additional $1,500 to give you all-wheel drive. For fuel economy, you can expect to receive right around 21 miles per gallon in the city, and 26 miles per gallon on the highway. Stepping inside, you're greeted by heated cloth seats for both the driver and passenger, with the driver's side being power adjustable. Leather upholstery is only available for the Limited. In front of you, between the analog gauges, a digital display will provide relevant information. But before we continue on, by opting for the Adventure package, your experience inside the Santa Cruz will be far more enjoyable, as you'll receive a full digital gauge cluster to modernize the interior. This package also adds a wireless phone charging pad and power moonroof, but there's also more emphasis on the utility aspect, as you have a bed cover, LED bed lighting, roof rails, and a 115-volt AC inverter. Then moving over to the Infotainment System, you'll have an 8-inch touchscreen, with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. To receive the upgraded 10.2-inch touchscreen with the Bose sound system, you'll have to purchase the Limited trim. But for owners of an SEL model, this user interface is responsive and easy to navigate. You'll have quick access buttons found on either side of this screen, with physical dials for the volume and tuning. A bit surprising for a lower trim Santa Cruz is the resolution for the rear backup camera, and that was quite impressive. And as with most of the available features this pickup offers, you'll have to spend extra for additional camera angles. Beneath the screen, you'll find the buttons and dials for the climate control, AC, and front and rear defrosters. And as you make your way to the center console, there'll be a cubby for a smartphone, and it's here where you'll also have 2 USB inputs and a 12-volt outlet. The rest of the front seating area is pretty driver-centric, with everything being within arm's reach, including the 3-level heated seats being found on the center console. And for the center storage compartment, you'll have enough room for small items. Now for passengers in the back, we're going to start off on the passenger side, and the seat is adjusted further back. It's also on a recline, and I have a good amount of legroom to work with here, which is a bit surprising because from the exterior, this vehicle looks pretty small. The Santa Cruz does not look like a big pickup. Now I do think though that when it comes to its ride height and the size of the tires, it does make it look more rugged and bigger, but interior wise, it's pretty spacious for what it is. I did see someone at around the height of 5'11" sit back here, and they were sitting behind themselves when they adjusted the front seat, and they seem to be pretty comfortable. So if you do have a family or you're going on a trip with some friends, you can definitely have them back here and they won't feel very squished. Now moving on to the center seat, the center hump is not very aggressive at all. However, it all just comes down to shoulder room because the Santa Cruz isn't very wide, so you are going to have a hard time trying to squeeze a third person in here for sure. Now, if you do have 3 kids, it still might be somewhat claustrophobic, so I do think that the Santa Cruz is meant for just 4 people overall. And then for the driver's side, I adjust the seat to someone of my height, around 5'5", and I have a good amount of legroom to work with here. So to me, what the Santa Cruz offers is an affordable utility vehicle where if you are somebody that wants to go on an adventure, that goes on shoreline drives to surf or whatever you might be doing, I think you could definitely do that. The question just comes down to what trim you want to go with, because with the SEL we do have cloth seats, but if you go with the SEL Premium you'll get a better engine and also you're going to have a bit more of that comfort aspect. So it just comes down to what you really want, but I think looking at the basics, this is certainly conducive for a family for sure. Now for the SEL trim, all you're going to have is a cup holder on the door panels, but that's basically it. So there's no USB input, no 2 rear air vents, and it is pretty basic, and unfortunately there is no center armrest or 2 cup holders. So I do think that if you are looking at buying an SEL, go with the adventure package. You want to get that extra technology, you want to have the extra goodies. Also, of course, you will get a moonroof as well. So you're going to have a little bit more of those creature comforts, and even though that will add about $3,000 or $3,500 to the total price, I do think it's worth it if you're not willing to go with an SEL Premium. So we're getting our first look at the Hyundai Santa Cruz, and I think it's actually rather fitting that we are featuring an SEL today. When you're looking at a vehicle around $30,000, this is most certainly a standout because you don't really see pickup trucks in this particular price range, although I wouldn't say that this is a pickup. And that's really adding to the intrigue and the excitement that I have for this vehicle, because when the general manager told me back, I think it was in March or April, that these were coming in, I was like, I have to feature one of these. And I think it's really because it looks like a ute. Vehicles that we don't necessarily get here in the US, but Australia and South America get. And I always found these vehicles to be really neat and cool. And maybe this is the beginning of an emerging market here in the US. Now, a lot of people are questioning and wondering if this vehicle really is a true competitor to, say, a Ford Maverick. And I can't give you that answer yet because they haven't arrived, and we don't really know how the driving dynamics are going to be, and I can only give you what I'm experiencing right now with the Santa Cruz, and it does feel very crossover-like for sure up front. You can certainly feel the length of this vehicle when you look back, and it certainly has a nice width to it where I have plenty of shoulder room. There is a sense of it being somewhat pickup truck-like, but it's still crossover in terms of its driving dynamics and handling. But what I really like here, though, is that Hyundai is not selling out their brand. They're not selling out to try appealing to Ford or Chevrolet buyers. They're going after a whole new demographic of consumer. Someone who is really enthusiastic about going out on adventures and really having a great time. Someone who is probably surfing on the California coastline, or someone who is adventuring and exploring some of the towns on the coastlines here in Massachusetts or Maine. And this vehicle fits that really well. Now, getting into the driving dynamics for the Hyundai Santa Cruz, it doesn't feel like a pickup truck at all. And as I already said, it definitely has its crossover-like tendencies. You can definitely tell it's built on the same platform as the Tucson. Now, when it comes to front vision, you do have plenty of it. Nice, big, panoramic view. A-pillars are not aggressive at all. Your side mirrors are pretty big, so you can see what's behind you. But also when it comes to the rear view and what you can see, you have a lot of vision. So this vehicle provides a lot of visibility where you can see everything around you. There's not a lot of blind spots either, and that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat where you can definitely see everything as you're driving on back roads like today or on the highway. But also, of course, this vehicle has a lot of safety features and safety equipment that's going to make the driving experience a lot more safe and give you that peace of mind. Now, you can upgrade with the SEL to go with an adventure package, which will give you a full digital gauge cluster. It'll give you some of the goodies that will help elevate the driving experience. But I was really interested and intrigued to drive an SEL because, well, the SEL Premium wasn't in on the lot yet. And the reason for that is because I want to see how this vehicle performs. Can you live with the non-turbocharged 4-cylinder engine? And on back roads, I'm not begging for more power. It doesn't feel very sluggish to me. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of the engine in the Tucson. I really wanted to see what the hybrid version was going to give you in terms of performance. But this actually pairs up pretty well with the transmission. I'm not really begging for anything more, and especially for people who are not going to be driving this on, you know, winding back roads or going to be driving really aggressively. This is not going to be a vehicle for car enthusiasts necessarily. Can the 4-cylinder do its job? And really, it feels really smooth. When it comes to the suspension, when it comes to even the engine note and noise, and also the cabin noise, it's really quiet in here. For a vehicle that's on the lower end of the trims, it feels really nice. The fit and finish is pretty good. Now, also for the infotainment system, we do have a touchscreen with quick access buttons on either side of the screen. And I like how clean the design is. That's one thing I'm really liking about Hyundais in general. Even for their lower trims, it feels somewhat upscale. It doesn't feel very disposable in here. You could certainly go with an SEL, save some money, buy a vehicle at around $28,000, $30,000, and you're not really feeling like this vehicle is cheap on the interior. You don't really feel like there's a lack of refinement. Now, I would like to have leather seats, though. That's one thing I would like to have, which hopefully I can experience the SEL Premium or Limited in the future. But the cloth seats still provide a good amount of support. They are pretty comfortable. And for the driver's side, it is power adjustable. So at least for the driver, you can adjust this to your height and you can feel pretty comfortable behind the wheel. Now, getting to the steering input, of course, I am on straight roads. Down in this part of Massachusetts, you don't really have twisty, winding back roads, but the input is really, really light where you can throw this car around and any minor correction, you're now off to the right or the left. It gives you a car-like feel. And the steering wheel itself has very aggressive 10-2 positions. So I believe that in the corners at higher speeds, you could certainly throw this around and you could have some fun. And it's not something you really can do with pickup trucks. And that's why I feel it is a ute. It's not a pickup truck at all. And I think when you look at the compact pickup truck market, it's emerging right now. We don't really know how this is going to fit in the market in the US because really it hasn't been experimented yet in the modern age. We have experienced the Subaru Baja, which was really a traditional ute back in the mid-2000s, but no one really came out with a vehicle like this other than maybe the Honda Ridgeline, but that might be considered a true pickup just because of its size, whereas this is like a crossover, but you have a bed where you can load that up and you can go on a weekend road trip to the mountains somewhere or to the ocean and have a blast with some good friends. What I do like about the Hyundai Santa Cruz though, and it's going to be crucial for this vehicle moving forward being considered a small pickup, even though I'm going to call it a ute, and the Hyundai executives that might be watching this video are going to be yelling, it's a pickup, it's a pickup, call it a pickup. But it really is a vehicle that seems more like a crossover than anything else. But you have plenty of headroom. There's a lot of space in this vehicle. In fact, I had somebody test out the second row seats, and they were able to sit back there pretty comfortably at the height of 5'11". So this vehicle is going to be very conducive for a family, but also somebody that has friends tagging along with them where they want to go on a trip and they can do that. Also, what I will say is that the lane departure warning and also just the safety systems do kick in pretty strongly. So if I do slide over to the right on this line here, oh, it didn't beep on me. It will beep. It will let you know that you're getting out of your lane. But also I noticed that the steering wheel does fight back over to get you into the lane. So safety is definitely a top priority for Hyundai right now with their vehicles. Now, when it comes to road noise on the highway, you really don't hear anything at all. The only thing that's rattling, I think, is the piece of paper and the sticker for this car and possibly my GoPro. But other than that, the interior is very well insulated. Now I am going to put the Santa Cruz in sport mode as I get off the highway. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want to see what the steering input is like. I have accelerated with this in sport mode and doesn't really change up anything. I want to see what the steering input is like. I do notice that throttle response is definitely more active and engaging, but that's basically it. I like the brake feel. I really like the brake feel of this vehicle. Steering, it tightens up a bit in sport mode, but very direct. I do feel the body roll though. I am feeling the body roll even at around 35 miles an hour, and that's to be expected. This does not have a lower center of gravity. But I like the way this car handles. I like the way it performs. It certainly feels a bit more agile than I was expecting. Now, I do think though, after being on the highway, getting on the highway, I am going to want to go with the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. But I was intrigued. I really wanted to experience the regular 4-cylinder just because I wanted to see if this is adequate enough, if it's sufficient enough for some buyers who maybe don't care about performance. And I think it could totally work, especially if you are focusing on being on the shorelines a lot more. Now, one thing in sport mode that you will notice though is that it holds the revs, it holds the gears a lot longer than at least I'm willing to experience. And you notice that a lot in many vehicles that are not sports car oriented. But other than the steering input, which tightens up and becomes more aggressive and gives you a lot more feedback, I'd probably just leave it in regular normal mode. I'm just not a huge fan of having this car hold its revs and give you that fake sports crossover or sports vehicle vibe. And that's really where I feel that I'd want to have the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. But after this test drive, what are my thoughts on the Hyundai Santa Cruz? Is it a vehicle worth your while? Is it a vehicle that you could cross-shop with some other more off-road worthy vehicles, like a Ford Bronco Sport, for example? And with the Ford Bronco Sport, since that has around 180 horsepower and it is built on a crossover platform, this actually pairs up really well. And it just comes down to what your personal preference is, because with the Bronco Sport, even though it is built on an escape platform, it feels somewhat rugged. You don't really have that escape feel as you're driving it around town. The Santa Cruz, on the other hand, is a vehicle that certainly feels like a crossover. The way the dashboard is laid out, the way you have the infotainment system blending into the dashboard, the center console, it feels very crossover-like in here. And if you're the type of person that wants to experience that wants to have a vehicle that you have that utility, you have that somewhat off-road capability, but you don't want to have that rugged, aggressive suspension, then the Santa Cruz, in my mind, might be a better option, especially at this price point. But you also need to take in consideration that at the time this vehicle is arriving at dealers, you have used car prices at their highest, but also you have a consumer demographic and consumer base that is ripe for vehicles like this. If there was ever a time for the ute market or the compact pickup truck market to really expand and grow, this is the perfect time to do so. This is the time where you're going to start seeing vehicles like this pop up around town or in tourist destinations. And that's why I think this vehicle is certainly going to provide a lot of value at its price point. And there might be a consumer demographic and a niche market for this vehicle. And that's why I'm not going to sit here and say that this won't do well. This might be more of a smaller market where it will grow 15 years from now and people are going to want to buy these up. I think this could do well right now, especially when you look at where buyers are at in terms of their behaviors, where they want to be outside, they want to experience and explore, and this is a vehicle they can definitely do that in, especially when you factor in the comfort and really that familiarized interior feel that gives you that crossover-like driving dynamics. And to me, I just think it's a fun, youthful vehicle that we don't really see a lot in the automotive world, and it's something that's different, new, and unique, and it should be treated like that until we start seeing more vehicles pop up in this market. So at the end of the day, what are my final thoughts for the Hyundai Santa Cruz? And to be quite honest, I don't know exactly where this vehicle fits in the automotive world as of right now, because we don't have a compact pickup market yet, and we certainly don't have a ute market. And this vehicle leans more towards being a ute rather than being a compact pickup. And I know that Hyundai executives are going to disagree on that, although even they themselves are saying that this is a sports adventure vehicle. So I think it depends on how you look at it. But when you compare this to, say, a Ford Maverick, and again, I can't give definitive statements on this because, of course, it hasn't arrived yet. I haven't experienced one. But I believe that the Ford Maverick is going to feel a lot more rugged and more of a traditional pickup compared to the Santa Cruz, which feels more like a Tucson, but you have a bed in the back. But I feel as though this vehicle could do quite well with younger buyers, people who live active lifestyles, that are constantly on the go, that are surfing on the oceans, that are going to the mountains to climb or hike. This is really a vehicle that fits their lifestyle. But also I think too that if you are a college student or you're just getting out of college, you can also tailgate with this vehicle too. And that's pretty cool, where you have that compartment where you have a drain plug, you can store some drinks there. I just think that this vehicle is meant for an everyday lifestyle where you have the practicality, where you can go to the grocery store, you can drive to work, you're not going to get thrown around, you're not going to have that rugged and more of a cheaper material feel for the interior, but you're also going to have that utility. You're going to have the ability to load things up and go out for a weekend. That's really where I feel the Santa Cruz is going to find its niche market. And again, I don't know how this is all going to play out. This could very well be a hit. People could be really buying into compact pickups within a year or utes within a year, and we start seeing more brands enter this particular segment. But I personally think that this is a great start. It's a really cool looking vehicle. It's unique, it's special, and in a market and an automotive world where everything is exactly the same, we have crossovers everywhere on the road, this is a vehicle you can stand out. You can be your own person. You can just have a lot of fun. And you don't really see that for a price range at around $30,000. What I would say though, and I would definitely recommend this, is go with the SEL Premium, where you get a bigger engine, you got that better performance, you got the dual clutch transmission, and also you're going to have more of the creature comforts. However, if you're not willing to spend $35,000 at a base price, you can go with the Adventure package, which will give you some of those creature comforts. You will have a full digital gauge cluster. You're going to have a power moonroof. So you're going to have a little bit more to work with that might make your driving experience and ownership experience more enjoyable. But I just think that what this vehicle is offering is pretty cool, and I would definitely recommend taking a look at one if your dealership has one on inventory and available, because to me, this is really a cool pickup or ute, and I'm really hoping it is a success, because that would mean we're going to see a lot more vehicles like this in the future, and really you can't beat the price either. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also make sure to follow me on Instagram at Boston Autoblog so you can see what I'm up to and what vehicles I'll be featuring in the future. And I will see you guys next time.